Well, hi, I'm Chris with GratitudeSpace Radio, and this is a GratitudeSpace / collaboration with the Gratitude Group, and I actually made a fun little banner just so everybody can see that. So this is a GratitudeSpace and Gratitude Facebook group collaboration. This is a Gratitude for Companions series, and just before we get into introducing the beautiful dogs in the room, and there's a cat that may show up, I just wanted to state that, I wrote this book called Dear Gratitude, an anthology, and there is a beautiful little section, really short section. It's called that I wrote about companions, because there's a whole chapter written to people writing to the love for the animals in their life. So just shortly reading this says, animals are a gift from above, for they truly define the words unconditional love. Heather Wolf. I'm so grateful for my cat, Boog. She was so sweet and loving. I really miss how she would come and rub up against my leg and how she would sleep with me, cradled in my arm with her head on my shoulder. Her name comes from when she was a baby. We had adopted her from the Humane Society. After she was with us for a week or two, she developed this wicked sinus infection. It was so bad that snot would block her nose and make it hard for her to breathe. Fortunately, the medicine the vet prescribed cleared it up. Because of this, she was always affectionately nicknamed Boog. I'm grateful for the time I had with Boog. Remembering these moments allows me to appreciate her, even though she is no longer with me. So lastly, I want to thank Stephen Seidel, the person who found the Gratitude Group, for this idea and for reaching in. And without further ado, we will introduce the ladies here. So let's start. We got 5 here, and we're going to start by bringing in Brody and Karen. How you doing?
No, great. How are you?
Great. So I've already said your name, but if you wouldn't mind saying, your name, where you're at, and introducing your friend next to you there.
All right. I'm Karen, and I'm from Jacksonville, Florida. And this is Brody, known as Broadster, Broderick von Barkenhauser, and he was supposed to be Chief Brody after Jaws, but we soon figured out that he's just a Brody. And
love it.
He's a 13-year-old Australian Shepherd with opinions, and he is my best friend.
I love that. Thank you, Karen. Nice to see you there, Brody. You look very comfortable. All right, we're going to bring in Sharon and Reno. How you doing there, Sharon?
I'm great. I am so great. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I already said your name, but if you'd like to say hi and introduce your friend and say where you're at.
Sure. This is our family member, Reno, and we're in Lakewood, Colorado.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Sharon. And nice to see you there, Reno. You look very comfortable. All right. We're going to bring in our next friend here is Terry, Dean, and Oliver. So let me bring them over to the main stage here. All right. So if you'd like to introduce yourself and your friend, please.
Well, my name is Terry Dean, and this is Oliver, and he's about 1.5 years old. He's a rescue. I got him back in August, and we are in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Lovely, lovely. Thank you, Terry and Oliver. All right, we've got our friend Lisa here. Let me bring Lisa to the main stage here. Hey, Lisa, how you doing? Your mic's off. Oh, your mic's off, Lisa. That's okay.
Someone's making noise. I'm Lisa. I am in a suburb of Austin, Texas. This is Juju, short for Jumanji. She was a unexpected treasure that I found on Craigslist. Someone was rehoming puppies, and when I was researching puppies for my apartment life, this one popped up, and sure enough, I found one on Craigslist. So she came into my life on Valentine's weekend of last year.
What a gift. Beautiful. Thank you. All right, we got one more person in the wings here. Let me bring on Trish. How you doing, Trish? Welcome.
Thank you. This is Cosmo. Cosmo,
hey, Cosmo.
Is almost 1.5 years now. He's a COVID puppy. He was bred here. I live in Lookout Mountain in Northwest Georgia. And Cosmo is a full-blooded registered Yorkie who was commissioned by a couple who decided they didn't want him because his left ear didn't stand up completely straight.
Well, good for you.
So he is now my companion. He's been a wonderful companion through this lockdown. Very grateful to have him.
That's wonderful. Thank you. You know, ladies, I was going to say bringing you all back one-on-one, but because I can actually control your all's mics, what I'm going to do is that way we can all be a part of this the whole time. That way we can see people's facial expressions. I think it'd be more fun. And this is all in good fun either way. I'm gonna leave you guys all on the screens. That way, if your animals run off, that's okay. But we decided we were going to start with Brody and Karen here, and I'm just going to go ahead and mute everyone else's mics right now, and we're going to talk to Brody and Karen. So Karen, I guess, is going to do the talking.
Yeah, I'm going to do the talking. Yes.
So I know you said a little bit earlier about how can you tell us how Brody came into your life?
So I had lost another dog and took a couple of years before I could open my heart again to have a new dog. And we just we found a family that had an accidental litter of dogs. And it was interesting because they were a young couple. They lived in a 3rd floor apartment with, I think it was 9 puppies. And they kept taking the dogs downstairs. And so Brody almost came potty trained. And we got him right at the time we can get him. And we took our neighbors with us, and they got his sister.
Oh,
so
wow.
He grew up with his sister right next door, playing with her every day until they finally moved. But yeah.
That's beautiful.
We had 2 kids, and so he learned how to play soccer with them. Pretty good dog. Goalie.
Yeah, it's
He never
beautiful.
did like frisbees or anything like that. It was always kind of modeled what the kids did.
That's great. Well, tell me a little. I love the fact you said the neighbors went with you. So
Yeah,
give me a little more. So did you guys, the conversation was, we're going to go look at these dogs, and then it just happened that you guys were like, okay.
Yeah, we said, hey, we're going to go look at this. Well, actually, even to back it up, we had a yard sale, and I made the exact amount that I needed to buy him at the yard sale. I wanted to name him Rummy, but I got outvoted. But we said, hey, we're going to go take a look at some puppies. You want to come with? And you can never just really go look at puppies. So they came back with a red merle, Sophie, and they were pretty close the whole time. That is Holly. I told you she would probably make an appearance. They played every afternoon, and when she came over to our house, he would decide that an hour was about enough and it was time for her to go home, and he would walk her home. And yeah, it was really cool to see the bond that they had. And she was kind of a neurotic dog, and so he helped them whenever people came over to their house. They would call us to have Brody come over to tell her that it was okay that these new people were at the house.
Oh, wow. So, oh, wow. I love that. There's so many great elements of that story. Just, I love the fact you said you had this yard sale. So then you got this money, you said, and then you talked with your neighbor, and your neighbor is getting the sibling of Brody so that they could, have a relationship. And then you said that the relationship, even so much as walking her home and then basically allowing her to know everything's fine, like just he would give peace to her, which would give peace to the family.
Mm-hmm.
So what were your neighbors' names, and are you still in contact with them, or have they?
Kelly and Byron, and I'm not. They moved actually out of the country, so I kind of lost touch with them after a while. But we stayed in touch for a while.
So obviously you said you didn't get the name you wanted, but how did you come up with the name Brody? Who is that related?
My partner at the time, Steve's favorite movie was Jaws. And so we had a whole list, and we came down to Chief Brody from Jaws, and we were really going to call him Chief, but his personality is not a chief. He's so laid back. We got the couch potato type of Australian Shepherd, and so he's just Brody. Mm-hmm. But the whole herding thing never left him, because we had 2 kids, and we used to do a lot of hiking. And we'd start off in a single file, and before we knew it, we were all in a circle. And he would get us get us the way he wanted us. So
That's beautiful. So who are some of the other people that Brody interacts with on a weekly basis, or who else is Brody keep making smile?
So Brody is my therapy dog. So I'm a mental health therapist, and a licensed mental health therapist in Jacksonville.
Oh, wow.
And I work for a nonprofit, and he comes to work with me and works with kids and adults, and actually the staff too. We do a walkabout, and he knows who the dog lovers are and which ones to leave alone, and he gives lots of love to everybody. He just has that personality and that calming effect. So how that works in a therapy session is he kind of gauges how the client is feeling, and sometimes he'll lay on their feet and then they kind of pet him as they're going through whatever they're going through. And other times he can tell they don't really need him, and so he comes and lays by me instead. And then with some kids and even some adults, he can actually be part of the treatment plan, where if the kid doesn't have a lot of self-esteem, getting him to sit and giving him commands and having him follow through kind of makes them feel a little bit more empowered. So he earns his puppy chow.
That's beautiful. Wow. So I'm really curious. So you got him, and then you realized he was very loving, and then he just became this therapy dog, right? Like that wasn't the intention, right?
Never the
just
intent.
happened, right?
Right. Never the intent. He just has this personality about him. Right now he's hot, but go down. Thank you. Just the neighborhood kids and the way he interacts with people on the street. He just has that. As a matter of fact, he has a referee costume that same Kelly. Kelly used to buy him costumes every year. So he has a mailman costume and a referee and all this stuff. And the neighborhood kids, when they played soccer, would come and knock on the door and ask if the referee, because that's what they called him, would come and play. And I have some videos of him actually running around with them on the soccer, the yards, just playing referee. So he just has that personality and just calming effect with people. He's definitely my therapy dog. If I get frustrated, especially on a computer or something, and I might say a not so nice word or growl or something, he comes and puts his head on my lap, just like, chill, it's okay, it's going to be all right. So he touches a lot of people's. Every time we're out for a walk or anything, and anyone wants to stop and pet him, we make sure to do that. So he's a good ambassador for other dogs as well.
Right. That's the amazing thing about an animal too, is just walking down the street, like it garnishes smiles, right? Like animals that are happy walking around, they bring smiles. Like they generate joy just by being, right? Because they're not caught in their heads like most of us are most of the time, right? Yeah. You're just happy, like we're just enjoying the walk. So it's what a beautiful thing. I really appreciate you. There he goes. Yeah. I really appreciate you sharing Brody with us, Karen.
Thank you.
What a beautiful story about how you got him, and the fact that he just became who he is because he found you and you found him, and then now you guys have each other, and he's become a therapy dog because you're a therapist. So therefore, you got to bring him in, and what a lovely. That's really, really beautiful. I really loved hearing that. I really appreciate you sharing that. I appreciate you sharing Brody.
Thank you for letting us.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Well, I'm going to really, again, thank you so much. And I'm going to bring our next guest up here. Lisa's going to be next. So I'm going to bring her over and mute you, Karen. Okay. So thank you. We'll see you in a little bit.
Okay. We'll be here.
Hey, Lisa, how you doing?
Hi.
All right. Good to see you.
You too.
So I do remember some of your story, but why don't you say it again? I know you said last Valentine's Day that you found your dog on Craigslist, but I want to hear a little more about that. Like how what gave you the idea have you had a dog before? What brought about that day, and what led you to Craigslist? And give me a little more details, because I think there's a lot of great story in there.
I am a lab mom. I've had labs my whole life. So when my last one got put down quite a few years ago, I didn't have any dogs. I was in an apartment at the time, so I didn't think it was fair to leave a dog in an apartment. And then my dad passed away 2 years ago, a year before I got her. And the grief was hard. And so I was like, you know, I think a dog would really help. And I was looking, you know, researching perfect dogs for apartment living. And I was looking at Yorkies. I was looking at mini dogs that didn't require a whole lot of attention when they were home and that can be home alone. And this breed popped up as the best one for apartment living. She's a mini American Eskimo. And then by chance, it was like one of my sleepless nights. I'm on Craigslist, and one just popped up. This lady was rehoming like a new litter of puppies. And I was like, okay, this was meant to be. And ironically, I drove up the next town, and she had a whole litter in the back of her SUV, a whole bunch. I wanted a boy. She gave away the last boy. No, I'm sorry. I wanted a girl. She gave away the last girl, and I was like, okay. So I picked up one of the boys, and I held it. Didn't feel a connection. And then I see this little puppy in the back, her. I picked it up. She licked me in the face, and I'm like, I felt that instant, you know, like, you're going to be my human connection. So I took her home. She was like this little puffball. Drove her back to my apartment. Did not tell my son because he was bugging me for a puppy for the longest time. Took her home. This was the Valentine's weekend. And then when I took her out to pee, thinking it was a boy, she rolled around her back, and I realized, oh my gosh, it is a girl.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what...
Thinking it was a boy because she said there's no more girls left. And sure enough, when I saw, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a girl. So that was another miracle. I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, somebody's listening. And so she's my emotional support animal. She's registered. But unfortunately, this past September, my ex-boyfriend, who's now my roommate, he had a Rhodesian Ridgeback who she instantly bonded with. The Rhodesian Ridgeback had cancer in her leg, and she wasn't expected to live much longer. But once she met Juju, she just had a whole new spring in her step, and she lived for another year. And their bond was incredible. Just, you know, this big dog and this little white fluff chasing each other around the house, and it was so hysterical. But she passed. Her name was Gigi. She had to be put down in September, right after Labor Day, and she kind of lost her place in the pack. So she developed a lot of anxieties, and we moved into a house where we were isolated. And now when people walk by, she goes crazy. We're having trainings. We're learning how to be out in public, but any other dogs, any other people, and she just loses it. Like, she just protective. So we're going through training. She's on anxiety medicine. We're also going through trainings to, my trainer said she belongs on America's Got Talent. So we're training her for that. Also training her to be an agility dog. So once she gets over her anxiety, she's going to be a performer.
That's beautiful. So tell me about how did you surprise your son? What was that like? How did you end up doing that?
Me and my ex split 50-50. So when I went to go pick him up, I just walked inside with her in my lap, and I handed it to her, and he was just all like shocked looking at me. He's like, "What's this?" I'm like, "That's your new puppy." He's like, "What?" And he started crying. I have a picture of him holding her crying.
That's beautiful. I mean, you know, when you can surprise somebody, I mean, what a surprise. I mean, literally just walking in and going, "Here you go."
And she loves him. It's like when I say, "Where's Brandon?" She like perks up.
You know, I was when you were talking before about your father passing away, which I'm sorry to hear about that. It made me think of, you know, my mom passed away years back, and my father, through some different changes, he ended up getting a cat, and like, I'm so happy that he has that cat. So happy, because it does what we can't do, and being there, and it really is somebody when he comes home to be with, you know, and like, it gives him that attention that he needs and he loves, and like, he's never been like an animal person, but like, you know, I do video calls in the morning and like, there's the cat next to him. And he's always thinking about her. Like, I gotta get home and make sure she gets fed. You know, she's waiting on me. And I think it's such an amazing thing. Animal, you know, only an animal can do that, you know, and it's such a beautiful thing. It's just such a lovely thing to see and be a part of. So when you said that, it really resonated with me when you said you got this dog and it's helped, you know, just being there for you and you know, the emotion and everything. And what a beautiful dog. And the fact you surprised your son. I love that. And then I love the fact that, you know, like the story with the other dog is such a beautiful story. And I think that just speaks to not only animals, but just people, right? It's like, it's just different when somebody else is around you that this is lively and loves you, you know, like it changes everything, you know? And that's what you have with the dog, saying the dogs just, they ended up living longer specifically because this dog was in his life, you know?
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. We know in human cultures, you know, it's like sometimes when spouses die, the other person dies. And that's a direct correlation about what we're talking about, where that can happen. So it's what a beautiful story. So, I mean, wow. So you see, like, you bring this dog in, and because you chose this dog or this dog chose you, the other dog lived longer, had a healthier life, you know, and your son's happier, and you have these, everything changes, you know, and it's a powerful story. So I appreciate you sharing her with us. I love that he and her thing.
Yeah.
And what kind of tricks are you hoping to, what's the first kind of tricks you're hoping to teach?
I taught her to jump into my arms. She'll run up my leg and jump into my arms. She can weave in and out of my legs. She does the typical rollover. She used to be able to dance on her hind legs. She does a lot of hind legs. When she sees other dogs, she'll get up on her hind legs and she'll walk like that. It's called the elephant trick, where she puts her front paws on a upside down bucket and she can go around it. What else can you do? She's got her own little Instagram page too.
Oh, wow. Okay. We should, maybe I can get that from you later. I can put that in the show notes for people. So, and if anybody else's animal has an Instagram too, I'm free to share it. I can put that in the show notes. So you can see some of that. So I love that. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate you sharing that and sharing about how you got her and the people that she's affected and those relationships. It's really powerful what the animals can do for us, but also, again, just what they change the atmosphere for the people around us too, and bring such joy. So thank you so much for that. And I appreciate your time and for calling to for seeing the post on the Facebook group and going, yeah, I'd like to, be a part of that, and then showing up. So I appreciate you doing that.
Well, I like sharing her, since I can't share her physically yet until she gets over her fear.
Well, we appreciate it, and the great thing is now that we'll put it online, and you'll be able to share. Some other people will be able to meet her who wouldn't get the opportunity because of the circumstance. So,
okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Thanks. All right, let's see here. I'm gonna bring Trish on. So, how you doing there, Trish?
I am so good. I'm so good.
Yes. Wow, I love your dog's beautiful, but I like your backdrop a lot too. I like your pictures there. You got a great color palette, and with the plants even.
Oh, thank you. We're at our home here on Lookout Mountain. And Cosmo is he thinks he's the guardian and the herder on our 10 acres. He has quite a responsibility. 7 pounds, and he takes care of the deer and the geese and the rabbits and the birds and everybody who wanders onto our property.
So how old is he again, and how can you give a little more of the detail about how you all found each other?
Mm-hmm. He's almost a year and a half old. I got him last March. I travel a lot for my work, and so when COVID hit, I knew that I needed to quarantine. I was thinking for just a couple weeks, and I came home to Lookout Mountain to an empty house because my mother, who lived with me, had a stroke and ended up in a nursing home. So I knew that was going to be difficult for me to come home to an empty home. And so I began looking for a companion and just put the word out and started searching around locally. And there was a breeder real close to me who had gotten rid of all of the litter born in the fall, except for this one because of his little ear. So the couple who had put down a deposit on him, he was destined to become a show dog, which I know he's so much happier, just being a loving companion. But I was really grateful that he had that little imperfection. It doesn't bother me a bit. His ears stand up just fine, but not show quality. So I knew it was destiny. I wanted a Yorkie. They were expensive and they were hard to find. So we happened upon one another. And I named him Cosmo. Sharon will know why. Back in the days when I used to drink, Cosmopolitan was my favorite drink.
Oh.
And I used to host these gatherings called Cosmo events. And I love the feeling of the word, and it's just kind of fun, and it feels a little cosmic, and it just feels very loving and spacious and fun and joyful, and it seemed to fit him. So he is Cosmo. We played around for a couple of weeks with a bunch of different names.
Oh, did you? Were you just calling them out and seeing what happened?
Yeah. And putting it on Facebook and taking a poll, letting people vote, on their favorite name. But I'm really glad we ended up with this one. He is just such an affectionate and sweet and smart companion. As it turns out, my mother passed away from COVID, and Cosmo has really been. I've been in lockdown here for over a year now. And so Cosmo has been my one and only companion. And he just has the perfect temperament. We live on 10 acres, like I said. So I was afraid that he might be a little too much of a indoor dog. Oh, he's not. Except when we're indoors. And then, as you can see, he's just beautifully behaved. He's affectionate. But when we're outside, he thinks he's an outdoor dog. We were outside gardening all day today. And he knows exactly what's going on. He stays with the wheelbarrow, he goes and digs in the gardens with me, chases off, whatever critters want to come. So, and he monitors the property, and he thinks he's a lot bigger than 7 pounds and bolder and more brave.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, I love that. I mean, it's so great that you got him when you did, right? Like you said, you were traveling, and then you just kind of felt like you wanted a dog, and then you find him, and then you're in a situation where it's like you needed him, or he needed you. And I love the fact that the imperfection is the reason, somebody else sees an imperfection, therefore, because they see that, there he is for you when you show up to get him. And then, thinking about, it's those little, they're like that movie Sliding Doors, right? Like, what if he had the perfect ear, he'd be a show dog, right? So he'd be on the road, somebody pampering him or whatever, go walk around. But because he has this, he's with you and he's on a farm, or on a ranch or whatever, running around with animals, right? Like, it's these two different things. And I think it's just, it's a really beautiful, and he's there with you right now. And I'm sorry to hear about your mother. I can only imagine. And I'm really happy that he's there with you and allowing you during this time not to feel alone, because that's tough.
Yes. In the last few months, as I get out more and begin to acclimate, back into the world, kind of like what Lisa was saying, there's a little bit of training involved because it's just been me and Cosmo for so long. And so he just expects to be one-on-one with me, but we go hiking. I live in a place where there are caves and waterfalls and all kinds of, beautiful things. Cosmo fits in a backpack, and I carry him on my bike, and I take him hiking with me. And when we get to places where I can let him go, take him off the leash and let him run and stuff. So it's taken a little while for him to get used to being around other people. You know, he was just with me for so long. The other thing I'm grateful for is that I paper trained him when I first got him.
Mhm.
Trained him, and I put the paper in the shower. So he's learned to go to the bathroom in the shower. But now that he's an outdoor dog, it's if he gets stuck inside, he knows to go to the shower. And
Oh, wow.
somebody had said, don't ever paper train your dog, then you can't ever get them to go outside. But this smart little fella, he knows the difference. And now he's got an option, if ever he's inside. He knows just to find the bathroom, don't you, Betty? Is he just adorable or what?
Yes, he
And
is.
that's the other thing I love. Look at this little, oh, those eyes of love. In quarantine, I was alone, and I would get stared at like with those eyes of love, like I'm just so perfect. I love that about him. So much affection, and I'm really grateful that he came into my life when he did. I needed him, and he's just the perfect companion.
So you have a lot of animals on your ranch then, you said, right? Because you said that he likes to do some herding.
Just wild animals. We have a lot of deer. Yeah.
Oh, okay. And he'll go out there and run with
Uh-huh.
them?
And I post pictures on Facebook of him. There's one deer in particular who was born here about 3-4 years ago, and she has all of her babies here. And so she's real tame and comes up to the house. And Cosmo thinks he's part of that herd. He'll go out and play with the babies and play with mom, and they hang out in the yard together. And Cosmo gets into the big window here and looks for them. He knows when they come out to feed through the yard and stuff. They're real good buddies. The Canadian geese, he's not such great buddies with the Canadian geese. I'm not sure what they did to upset him, but he will chase them off. So it's just wild critters, coming in the yard.
That's great. I years back when we had our cat, I saw a thing where you could like put something down on the toilet, and I was really tried to test it out. I was thinking, how amazing would it be if this actually worked? And when what happened is the one they sent me was missing a part. So we never technically got to try that partial litter thing. It was very fascinating. So I've never owned a dog, so I didn't even know about this papering thing. I think that's brilliant. I mean, wow, what a if you could put it in the toilet, obviously you're not worrying about it going. I mean, that's in the shower. That's somebody was really thinking. So that's really awesome that he will do that. So therefore, keeping the house clean. That's wonderful.
Exactly. So at night before I go to bed, one of my bedtime routines is to open the shower curtain and to put a pad in the shower so that he knows he's invited to go there. And then during the day, I close the shower curtain and open the doors. He's got a doggy door. He comes in and out however he wants. He's got a really good life.
It sounds like it. Wow. That's wonderful. I really appreciate you sharing them with us and coming here tonight. And what a beautiful story about how you found them. And just, I keep going back to, I love that little imperfection, which brings it all about. I think in life, it's like, there's so many little things that we look at as imperfections, but yet they lead to really wonderful things, and this, your case in point with just an ear, right? An ear being a little something, right? Whatever that means to somebody else meant that it was, that door closed for them and opened for you.
I thank God for that ear all the time.
Right. That ear, and then you get the eyes and everything goes along with it now. And now it's running around, going on hikes with you. And that's really beautiful. So Trish, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming tonight and sharing all that with us.
Thank you, Chris. My honor.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. So who wants to go next here? Does Terry want to go next? Okay, we'll go. Here we go. So, hey, Terry.
Hey.
Terry Dean and Oliver.
Oliver has kind of split the scene. Now he wants to play. He's so high strung. It's like,
okay.
It's like having a teenage boy in my house that just is on go all the time. But Oliver came into my life last year in August. I had a little dog, a little Yorkie. In fact, I had 2 rescue Yorkie dogs, and I was on the second one that was probably close to 16, 17, and he was really starting to fail, and he was pretty feeble. And I thought, well, shoot, if I can find another little dog, it might spark him. and give him some energy and maybe add to his life. And Oliver, I had been looking, and of course, the Yorkies, I'm like, no, I'll see if I can find one that needs a home, a rescue situation. I just wasn't finding anything. And then out of nowhere, Oliver appeared on a site in a little shelter south of Albuquerque. And I wish I had the picture here. Poor thing. I mean, he looked a mess, but he was listed as a 1-year-old female Yorkie.
Oh,
and I thought he's not a Yorkie. He's not a Yorkie, but
he's not a female.
And I had to, oh gosh, like they were getting probably 100 calls a day on this dog. And the way the system works is if the dog is not claimed within 3 days, then you have to be like first one at the shelter, and it's just a crapshoot as to who gets the dog. And so I kind of did some background work and found a friend that does lapdog rescue. I said, do you know anybody at the shelter where he came from?
Inside man.
Yeah, I have a really great contact there. Call Patty, who I am now friends with. So grateful for Patty. And I was able to, by the grace of God, one of those like gratitude things again, I called on a Saturday and I said, I really would like to meet this dog because here's the situation. I have a really elderly little one that only now weighs 2 pounds, and I need to make sure that I bring in an animal that's going to be safe for him. And I hate to just show up and say, hey, I'll take the dog, and then maybe there's not a fit. And she said, well, we don't allow that. We can't do that. And then she said, well, hang on. I told her the story, and she comes back to the phone and she said, can you be here at 2? I said, yes. So I race, out there to get there by 2. I spent some time. First thing I noticed about Oliver was that he was not a girl. He turned his back to walk away, and I'm like, not a girl. So he's an absolute wild man, and I know he's probably exactly what I need. But he has pushed me. He was fine in the kennel. I went back 2 days later. No one claimed him. And I was like, why? How can no one claim this little dog? He's really on it. And the car ride on the way home, I knew why no one had claimed him, because he was screaming like a human. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, this is not the way dogs are with people. But he was terrified. He was out of his mind. So we've had a lot of work that we've had to do this last 6 months. I did end up needing to put Rupert, my little dog, before I put him down the end of October. And I will tell you, it has been a true gift having Oliver with me. I didn't realize how hard that was going to be on me. And I would be remiss to just not quickly say some of the dogs that have really touched my life. My first dog I named her Alexis, and I had her when I was in my 20s. She lived to be about 18. And that dog truly taught me unconditional love. Everybody's like, you can't get a dog. You're too busy. You're not going to be a good dog parent. And I love that dog with my entire being. And she taught me so much and just gave me so many gifts. And then it was some time later, I rescued another little 2-pound Yorkie mix. And we just looked at each other like, what are we supposed to do now? And I love that dog's name was Gizmo. Gizmo ended up being the weather dog here in the market for a couple of years. And I worked at a TV station at the time. And so he kind of became a little celebrity. And I cannot tell you through that, the number of relationships that opened up for me as a human. And in the building that I lived in, I would have never gotten to know the people in the newsroom like I did. That little dog had 6'5", 300-pound men like on their knees every Friday. Gizmo! So the relationships that were created just off of that were very touching and very, very heart touching. And then I ended up with Rupert a few years later. And so I had the 2 little ones, and I loved them. And they, went on the bicycle with me, just like the other little Yorkie. And then Oliver rolls in, and he's a puppy. I haven't had a puppy. I've rescued the other dogs when they're like 5 years old. So it's been 25 years since I've had any kind of a juvenile dog. And he's a terrier. He is He's like a silky terrier mix of something. And I mean, he's on it, and he's wildly intelligent. And I did some training with him, and the trainer goes, "He's so smart." I said, "I know." I was real proud. He goes, "That's not good." He goes, "He's going to push you." He pushes me, but you know, and it's been fun. I did an accountability workshop in January where I met Sharon and Reno, and we both had little dogs, and I think that just opened a connection for her and I to talk a little bit more intimately, and we became fast friends. So I've got Sharon now in my life, and kind of I think part of that was, you know, the fact that we both have little dogs. And then recently, another beautiful thing has really opened up because of Oliver, and that is a few months after I rescued him, I had told the lady at the shelter, I said, or I didn't tell her, I asked her, "What do you guys need?" I said, "I would love to support you however I can, so tell me what you need." And she said, "Basically, we need everything." And so I put the word out, and I started like collecting towels and sheets and blankets, and I've taken a load of things out there, like an entire SUV full of goods for them. And through that, it's reignited another relationship with an ex. We were friends, but also we worked together. She's the general manager of a hotel here, a large hotel. And she called me, she said, "Hey, we have all this stuff and it's going to need to we have to just dispose of it. Do you think you can use anything?" And I said, "Absolutely, we'll take it." So that has just opened up an amazing door for her and I to continue a deeper conversation. And we're in the process right now of starting the Oliver Rigby Foundation, because she adopted a dog the same time I did. And we're funneling off goods and supplies to, we've supported 3 rescue organizations, right?
Wow.
You know, just already in the last month or so. And I have a feeling it's going to take off, and we're going to really be able to help some people, the people who are front lines, holding the dogs in the homes, who need the supplies to, you know, take care of. I can't foster, but I can do that. And I think if we all kind of just think about one thing we can do to support another person, even if you can't rescue or foster dogs, maybe you can either donate food to a shelter or a rescue group, or, you know, your time or something. We can all do something. And what I can do is pick up the phone, and I know the people, so I can pull the people together, and we can definitely, I think, have some impact. So we're really excited about that. And it was funny because Sharon and I talked yesterday. I said, "That's so weird. I just got off the phone with my friend Joni again." So, and I feel like Joni and I, we've always adored each other. And I feel like we're just going to have, you know, an expansive relationship that's going to touch a lot of people along the way. And I get to hang out with somebody that I really like. So that's opened another door.
That's beautiful, Terry. There were so many things in there. I know. There was so much. I'm trying to think of. I just want to say I love. You know, the big thing is it's, you know, when you're an animal person, like, you can automatically just bond with an animal person, right? So that's great. So it's like if you know, that's why it's like you and Sharon, you guys bond because you automatically have that in common. So it's like when people love animals, it's like we have, you know, it's almost like there's our team. We love animals, which is great because it initially starts that bond. And, you know, where's that going to go? That, you know, you met her sometime recently. Now you're here and we're having a conversation, sharing about dogs. And then you, like you said, with you, I love what you're sharing about, just you were seeing a need that wasn't being met, and you had this other connection to fulfill that need because you were and that's specifically because you were like, "What can I do?" So you blatantly asked this lady, like, or this person, like, "What can I do to help?" You know, and that's such a servant's heart to just give that out when you're saying that to somebody with an open heart. You don't know what they're going to say, and you don't know what you can do, but unless you make the statement, they never know, and you never ask. So there's no conversation, right? But then the conversation hits, and like what you said, the magic in that is because you were open, the conversation happens, and then you find out about these blankets these hotels, they have to legally get rid of this stuff, which can still be used, but they legally can't keep it. And you go, oh, and you put 2 and 2 together. Go, well, I know somebody can use that. Can we repurpose and like and then bam, you've associated these two things that somebody hasn't thought about, but now you've made that happen, which can allow other people to have the same idea, right? Like you've expanded on this. Like I remember I was in California years back, and somebody had a nonprofit they started, and they were basically, it was like supermarkets, regardless if the fruit's gone bad, when it gets to a certain day, like they have to throw it away. Like it has to go to the trash. And his whole thing was like, well, what if how can we legally get this stuff so we can give it to people that need it? Because it's technically still good. It's just, it's like, it's the same, so they were like looking, how can this is going to waste. You were looking, these sheets are going, technically this is bedding that could be used by anybody. It's going to waste. And you found a place you can set it. And I think that's absolutely beautiful. And that's all because of your love of animals. And all specifically because
my love of people. Really, there's so much good in the world. And I think that people want to help, but they think sometimes people don't know how to help. And if we just kind of open the conversation up a little bit, I'd forgotten until just a second, I was able to secure a $500 donation to the shelter too. Just one day having a conversation with a client, and she's like, we're always looking for creative, I'm like do marketing and sales. We're always looking for creative ways that we can, just give to the other businesses. And I said, well, what about, partnering with some nonprofits? Oh, we're totally open. We help a lot of people anyway. And then I happened to mention the rescue. It's a small shelter. And so they don't get the attention of some of the larger, like Albuquerque, more eyes are on Albuquerque. We have more people here. And it's a little bit more rural, and they see like the worst of the worst there. And I said, well, what about, and she goes, oh my gosh, I live there. I live like not far from there. So yeah, we'd love to cut them a check. Do you think $500 would be enough? And I said, I think they would be thrilled. And they took that money and they used it for gas for their drivers to take animals that would have had to have been put down to a shelter in Colorado that they work with. She's like, Terry,
wow.
They really went. I was like, yes. So I think we can all do something if we just, again, like you said, keep our heart open and like really listen with the ear behind the ear and kind of feel into our conversations we're having with people, because there are a million ways we can serve, and we don't have to do it financially all the time, but we can do it in a million different ways. So.
Yeah, I love that, and I know you love people, so I wasn't trying to downplay. I was just saying that I was just seeing the mechanism. It's like those little grateful like crossroads, right? Like what brought you to the shelter? Like all, obviously there were so many steps along the way, but then you have Oliver now. We're at this story, pardon your story, and this connection with the shelter, and then it's really beautiful. These little connections bring you into people's lives, and then you get to, I was speaking with a lady who started, it's called Mother's Choice in Hong Kong last week, and they started 34 years ago. And basically there was a big report about the problems with mothers and unwed mothers and children in Hong Kong. And it really tore her up. So her and her friend basically put out a post in the newspaper saying, we don't know what we're going to do, but we want to help.
Right.
That's all I said, right? They didn't know what that meant. And the next thing you know, the next day, because somebody heard that in the hospital, there was a woman that was hiding out that wasn't she was pregnant, but she didn't have any reason to be in the hospital. And they contacted them the next day because they'd heard about it, right? So within one day, this lady and a friend have a pregnant woman there. And then the next day there's a baby. And that's where it started. And this organization is massive now, and they take care of, there's so much more to that story, but it just comes down to the beauty of just going, I want to help. And that's where I'm going back to you saying, what can I do for you? And again, I love how you just point out, it's about asking the question. It doesn't always have to be money. It could be connection with somebody, or it could be, you just don't know, but it's when you ask that question, you open up the possibilities of what can you do? And then what can happen, right?
Right.
What can happen, which is beautiful. So thank you so much, Terry. I really love that. I really love you sharing that story of Oliver. And I really appreciate your time tonight.
Thank you so much. This is beautiful what you're doing. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you so much. And so we're going to bring your friend Sharon, who invited you here, on now, so she can share a little Reno with us. So let me open your mic. So, all right. Hi, Sharon.
You know what I can't get over is I can't stop smiling. I don't know if I'm sure you all feel the same. It's like, little babies, infants, and dogs. I've been smiling this whole time. It's crazy. It's wonderful. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We're going to say real quick. I know it's 8:00, and if you guys have to hop off, I won't feel. I know I said I was going to end at 8, but we're going to go a little over, and I completely understand if you guys have to go. But I just want to say that, so I didn't want to feel like anybody was burdened to be here. Sharon, thank you so much for being here, a little Reno, and inviting your friends. And let's talk. Let's dig right into Reno, though. You got the great smile there. Sharon, I wanted to show his coat, and you said there's somebody who made that.
So our neighbors bought this for him, and it says spirit animal. And this little guy, well, first of all, I was realizing I wasn't really a dog person most of my growing up. I mean, we had one dog, but and I'm sorry that my wife can't be here because she's really the dog person. It's because of her that we have this precious animal dog. And she had another dog, Nixie, who was a Pomeranian Yorkie, and they looked just alike. And he passed about 7 years ago. And so anyway, it was just kind of her thing about wanting another dog, but we waited about 3 years before we got another dog. And she went online and looked at look at this and see what you think. And so I have never picked out a dog before. This was my very first dog I actually picked out, and she let me have full reins of it. So I want to really give lots of gratitude for Rescue a Dog in Newport Richey, Florida. Gina Rosado, she's the one who owned this rescue. And I saw a dog. At first I said, no, I want someone different. I don't want to look like Nixie. I picked out, this one looks exactly like Nixie. The color, everything about this one. So we went over there, and we just fell in love with this one. And so they named him Reno, so we kept his name. And it was just unbelievable. And what she did is she made sure there were like 5 other people that wanted Reno, but she realized how much we wanted him. So she said, well, let me let you know. I'll know by Tuesday. And then she actually came to our home to make sure everything looked good and so forth. And so we passed the test, and it was wonderful. And I remember when she left, when Gina left, I looked at Luann and I said, he's perfect. That was my statement, I said. And he's been amazing. I mean, he was so patient. He was just on my lap. He doesn't really bark that much at all. And he is just a love. So anyway, getting back to our neighbors here, we moved to Colorado from Florida. They have fallen in love with him. When we go out at nights, on the weekends or anything, they beg to have him. When we go out of town, they want him. He has that kind of way about him that people just love him. It's amazing. It really is. And he's just full of love, and, but anyway, so yeah, because I'm really a people person typically. I mean, that was me all my life, but this one, he is absolutely he's like a person. So his birthday is July 14th. I'm July 8th. So we're both Cancerians. So that says a lot. He is just a love bug. He just loves people. In fact, Luann gives us such a hard time when we're out walking. So we both will want to say hi to people, and like, we'll look because we want them to say hi to us. He does the same thing that I do. It is just hilarious. And the other amazing thing about him is, and I do I'm doing all these videos now for him. He's just such a star. He's so easy, especially when I wake him up in the morning. When I wake him up, he starts stretching on command. I'm like, okay, Reno, stretch out. He'll stretch his body. And then I just have this conversation with him. And of course, he says nothing, but his mannerisms and actions are just priceless. So he gives me so much joy just in the mornings alone. Talk about a gratitude morning. He really starts mine off that way. He's amazing. And so he was a Yorkie. That's what his papers were. But we did a DNA test, and he doesn't have a Yorkie in him. He's half long-haired Chihuahua, the other half miniature Pinscher, miniature Poodle, and Shih Tzu. Oh, wow. So we call him a Min Pinchy Puzu, is what we call him. And we found out his grandparents were UK show dogs.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he's got longer legs in the back. So he looks like a Clydesdale when he's walking because it's shorter in the front and longer in the back. Everybody loves his little walk. It's adorable. It really is. So he is just, he's a love. I mean, he's so easy, and he gives the best hugs in the world. He'll do that like crazy. He's a really good guy. Yeah. He just shows, and he has, before we get done, let me know, because he has another talent, but I want to do it at the end because I'm not sure how it'll go over. But so in just a few moments, you let me know.
Okay, yeah. You were saying that you take a lot of photos. I remember you talking before about that you would share with the person you adopted, the place you adopted. You share. Yeah. Who's your contact there and the gratitude there?
Yeah, so Gina Risotto, she has rescued a dog. So every time we take pictures, I tag her page, and then she sends them, and she's just so happy because it's been so many years since she gave him to us and we adopted him, and so she's thrilled every time we show pictures. It really is. It's a cool thing to do. She really enjoys that so much, and we do. We're so grateful for her, and what she does. It's really
right. That's so beautiful because I can only imagine every time she sees the tag and she sees the dog, you're basically like sending her a smile. Like you're getting a smile. You know what I mean? Like that it's like affecting her because how much it's affecting you. So that's what a relationship coming out of just her being the person there at this shelter and being there for you when you got Reno. So that's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Because when she got him, he'd been with an older gentleman who just loved him, and he passed away. And so he was like a lap dog, and he never went outside walking or anything. So when we got him, it was his first experience to be outside and walk and run. He'd never done it before. And the gentleman, he couldn't really get regular food for him, so he had scrap foods for him. And he had a liver shunt, and they were going to put him down because of his liver.
Oh, wow.
We started getting him on regular food, and that was all it took. Yeah. And the other wild thing, my friends will really laugh about this. So Luann calls me the alpha mom, and I'm like, what? Because I didn't know what that meant, but apparently I'm mommy number 1 and Luann is mommy number 2, and I didn't even realize that I'm the alpha.
Well, what's so the neighbor? You said the neighbors will take him anytime you want them to. Is that what you're saying? So
yes, they adore him. They give him clothes. They have clothes for him and treats, and it's so nice to just see that. And everybody on Facebook, all of our friends, they adore him. They want to take him. They just really, he has this way about him. He's so easygoing, and he's just love. That's all he is. He's just love.
Are there people that you just see when you're walking with him that are just friends of his that you all say hi to all the time, or has that changed recently because of?
Yeah, he doesn't have a stranger.
Right.
He loves everyone, and he's like flying when he sees people. He just like jumps up so high. He's like flying. He's so excited. We have a leash, but it's amazing. And his favorite here in Colorado are the bunny rabbits. He just loves the bunny rabbits. He goes nuts. It is so cute. He runs after them. And we love them. The bunny rabbits are cute. We didn't have that many in Florida. So it's really, and the other thing about him too, being in a different climate now, he loves the snow. He doesn't bother him in the least. He's in that snow. And, and then we'll get him out in the snow, and then we'll do a spa treatment. We'll get the towel and we'll blow dry his paws. So, and his whole hair, he gets a spa treatment every time when it snows, when he comes back in, but he loves it. So that was really something good. He acclimated really well to Colorado.
He's a good mover. Okay.
Yeah. We didn't know that, but yes.
Well, that's wonderful, Sharon. Well, I would love to see the trick.
Okay,
and then we'll bring everybody back on.
So we discovered this almost 5 years ago. It was my dad's 85th birthday, and so we were FaceTiming, and we were on the couch, and all of a sudden we were singing. And I'm going to use different words for this, but we were singing "Happy Birthday" to my dad, and on the side of the couch comes this one. So I'm going to change the words a little bit. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Okay. I'm so grateful for you.
Wow. Thank you. Wow. That was awesome.
And so if anybody who's watching this has a voice teacher, we're looking for a voice teacher for this one. I'm very, very, very serious about that. So thank you, Chris.
You're welcome. I'm going to bring everybody back on here for the end here, and we'll get a nice bring everybody's mics back up. So hello, ladies. So we're all here together, and I wanted to thank you all for your time. And if anybody has anything they want to, we have a couple minutes here. If anybody has any thoughts they want to share with anybody else in the group about anything they heard, you're welcome to say something. If not, that's completely okay too.
Dogs are the best.
So are their owners.
All love.
Holly kind of thinks cats are pretty special too. Yeah, but she thinks she's a dog too, so she's a hybrid. But I think that what I take away from this is just how much love just circles around our animals and us, and how much more we can just give to the world when we come from that spot and that gratitude.
Yeah.
So I am very honored to have met all you ladies and spend this time with you. Thank you for inviting me, and go out and share gratitude.
Yeah.
To everything Karen said.
Yeah. Singing brought Oliver back. He brought me his pony. So he came racing in when you guys were singing, Sharon. That was really cute. It was lovely to meet everyone. Thank you so much, Chris.
That's good. That's great.
Thank you so much, and appreciate you all doing this experiment with me, and I'll definitely be doing it again. So thank you so much. I'm Chris with GratitudeSpace Radio, and we are out.
Thanks.